time to regroup on this. Everyone inside the clubhouse.
I was outside on a really hot day. You know the kind of day I'm talking about? When you're sweating, standing still. I had a big tall glass of ice cold water. You know sometimes when you think the glass is empty, there are tiny little drops of water stuck to the bottom of the glass? I looked at that little drop and I thought, where did it come from? You know, every drop of water on the earth has been here for about 3.5 billion years. The water inside of you was inside a dinosaur. The water inside of you was inside Abraham Lincoln. It takes about 100 years for a drop of water to travel around the world. And as I was thinking about these things, that little drop of water told me this story. A true story that begins at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Can you all close your eyes for just a moment now and imagine you are at the bottom of the ocean? I want you to close your eyes because it's dark down there. There's no light. Imagine there's water to the left, water to the right. Water up above, water down below. You can open your eyes. Once in a while, a glow-in-the-dark fish comes by. That's pretty exciting. But truth is, not much happens. There aren't any waves. This is where this story begins. Walter was a little tiny drop of water at the bottom of the ocean. And Walter had one wish, one desire, one thing he wanted more than anything, and that was adventure! And little did he know, his adventure was about to begin. Because up on the surface of the ocean, there was a giant sperm whale. Now, whales are mammals like you and I. They breathe air. Everyone take a great big deep breath. Hold it. Now, if you're really good, you might be able to hold your breath for 1 minute. But a whale can hold its breath for an hour. This whale took a great big deep breath and swam down into the darkness of an ocean. The whale can't see where it's going. So how does it find its way? It sings and listens to the echo. Can you say echolocation? Echolocation. They listen to the echo to find things, to locate where they are. Can you sing like a whale all together one time? Shh. Did you hear that? That sound, it goes out and it bounces back, and they can tell from the shape of the echo what's near them. A coral reef, a harpoon ship, dive deep. And you know, most whales, like blue whales, the biggest animals on the earth, they eat tiny little things that you hold in your hand called krill. In one handful, you could have 1,000 krill. These tiny things feed the largest creatures on the earth. But sperm whales are toothed whales. They like to eat whatever they can catch. And one of their favorite foods is a giant squid. Well, this whale was singing. One more time all together. Let's hear it. Ready? Shh. Did you hear that? It was something long and skinny, more than 8 legs. It wasn't an octopus. The whale started swimming towards that squid. The squid squirted black ink in the water so the whale couldn't see him. But the whale didn't have to see him. The whale could hear, jump, jump! The whale caught the squid. The squid wrapped his tentacles around. They were wrestling and fighting, and guess what? Walter, the drop of water, was caught in the middle. Jump, jump, jump! As the whale ate the squid, Walter went inside the whale. His adventure was about to begin. Now, this whale had been underwater for quite some time, so he came rushing to the surface. Psh! You know how whales breathe out of holes in the top of their head? You know, you breathe out of holes in your head, but they're on the front. Next time somebody says, you got a hole in your head? Say, yes, I have 7. So do you. And you breathe out of these. Have you ever seen your breath on a cold morning? What you are seeing is moisture condensing. Can you say condensation? Condensation. So next time you see your breath on a cold morning, you can tell all your friends, I am cloud maker. And it's true. And when whales breathe out, water comes out of their head too. Psh, Walter came out of that whale. Splash. He landed on the surface of the ocean, and he went whoop, one side of a wave and down the other side. Whoop. Can you do the wave with me all together? Ready? Whoop, and down. Whoop, and down. Woohoo! Better than any roller coaster at Six Flags over anywhere. Walter loved doing the wave. But then he came to the top of the next wave, and he saw little drops of water leaping into the air. He was curious. He wanted to know where they were going. Only one way to find out. When Walter came to the top of the next wave, he leapt into the air. Can you say evaporation? Evaporation. Walter started floating higher and higher, higher and higher. Now, a moment ago, he was a mile under the ocean. A few moments later, he was a mile above. He moved 2 vertical miles in a matter of moments, and he entered a river. Yeah, there are rivers of air up there called the jet stream. And Walter circled the planet. He went from the Pacific Ocean over North America. That's where you live. And then he went over the Atlantic Ocean and over England and Scotland and the former Soviet Union. Had changed that part of the story recently. And then he came back over the Pacific Ocean, around and around. He circled the earth. They call those rivers of air the jet stream because that's where jets fly. And then Walter came over Canada and he got kind of cold. And you know how cold things sink and warm things rise? When you boil water, where does the steam go? Up. But Walter wasn't hot steam. He was cold air. And not only did he sink down closer to the earth, but he sank south towards the equator. And just then, there was warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico rising up. And when the warm air meets the cold air, they do a little dance. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. And that's where storms are made. How many of you ever seen the clouds begin to gather? Big black thunderheads. Thunder and lightning. Walter realized he wasn't alone. A little tiny drop of water stuck to his side, zoop, and one stuck to the other side, zoop, and one stuck to the front, zoop, and one stuck to the back, zoop. Can you say condensation? Condensation. When the drops come together, they condense. And Walter, he passed the dew point. And he started to fall. Splash! Can you say precipitation? Precipitation. Fancy word for rain. Walter landed on a farmer's field just north of Indianapolis, Indiana. And because this farmer had just plowed the field, Walter ran over that field and he collected some dirt. Can you say erosion? And he washed that dirt down into the stream. And some places there were whitewater rapids. In other places there were deep pools. And in one place there was a catfish. Can you do fish lips? Go ahead, all together. You ever notice when a fish closes its mouth, his gills open? They close their gills, their mouth opens. They pump water across their gills, just like you pump air into your lungs. Take a deep breath. What you just breathed in was inside the person sitting next to you a couple seconds ago. We all share the same air. That's why it's important we care about clean air. Take another deep breath. We all have to breathe. What you just breathed in was in Canada a couple of days ago, that cold front that came through. What you just breathed in was in a Canadian balsam fir. Can you all say, thank you, Canadian balsam fir? Because they filter the air. They make that oxygen that you breathe. But fish, they don't breathe air, they breathe water. When they pump water across their gills, they take the oxygen from the H2O. Actually, H2O often carries extra oxygen just for them.